In 2014, Always, the feminine products and menstrual information company, created a campaign to change the narrative around what it means to do something like a girl. They created a commercial interviewing several girls in different age ranges to show how this statement affects girls' confidence. After watching the video, it becomes clear that believing that it is a bad thing to do something like a girl is a learned behavior. During one part, the producer asks young girls to show them what it looks like to run like a girl, fight like a girl, and throw a ball like a girl. All of the young girls were running, fighting, and throwing like they knew how and giving it their best effort. When one of them was asked what it means to run like a girl, she said, "I think it means to run as fast as you can." At another point in the video, the producer brings in teenage girls or girls who have gone through puberty already. When they were asked what it looks like to fight, throw, or run like a girl, they were slow, dramatic, and acting as if they were incapable of performing these actions. The video argues that this shift in attitude toward a female's capability of playing a sport is due to what we hear society telling us after puberty. Always states that a girl's confidence plummets after puberty, and girls begin to believe that doing something like a girl is a bad thing. After watching the video, you have to ask yourself why. As a female, I always wonder, why is it a bad thing to do something like a girl? Maybe this can be attributed to the way that the media talks about females in sports, or the fact that they talk about them much less. Does this tell the audience that a woman's place is not in sports, and therefore to do anything like a girl is a bad thing? Usman says that the stubborn persistence of the lower quantitative coverage and the poor production values marginalize women within the male-dominated, male-controlled institution of sport. High-quality coverage builds audience knowledge, interest, and excitement for men's central sports, whereas the program's lack of focus on women stunts interest in women's sports. This symbolic annihilation of women's sports distances women from athleticism and reinforces perceptions of categorical and hierarchical gender difference. Usman also argues that questioning men's control over the sporting industry has been difficult because being larger, stronger, and more aggressive or violent is celebrated, and those traits tend most often to be higher in men, though there are exceptions. This has led to sports being dominated solely by men in the past. This was until late 1970s when women participation in the sports world increased dramatically. Usman states that the dramatic movement of girls and women into sports has challenged assumptions of natural and categorical male athletic superiority in daily interactions and institutional arrangements. The Always campaign, Like a Girl, proves that society takes women in sports less seriously, which is why doing anything like a girl is seen as a bad thing. Because to run like a girl, kick like a girl, or throw like a girl is to be bad at all of those actions. Just like this video, the sports industry, despite having many women hold records above men, still take women less seriously and see them as weaker. Margaret Court, Steffi Graf, Serena Williams, and others all hold more tennis Grand Slams than the male record holder Roger Federer, as one example. Teresa Edwards also has 4 Olympic gold medals in basketball, whereas the male record holder only has 3. Our own women's basketball coach, Dawn Staley, who has won a national championship, is paid $10 million less than Will Muschamp while he was here, when he never even won an SEC championship. Usman says that in sport, men dominate coaching positions, women professional athletes earn a small fraction of men's earning and sponsorships, and men own the vast majority of professional sports teams. Even in journalism covering sports, there are less women than men. It is rare that on Super Bowl Sunday you would ever hear a woman commentating the game. In fact, according to Usman, 91.1% of editors, 90.2% of assistant editors, 87.6% of columnists, 87.4% of reporters, and 80.8% of copy editors and designers are male. Usman also introduces a term called gender-bland sexism, which is when the sports industry presents women in sports in a more boring and uninteresting manner. The sports industry can hide the sexist ideologies that still exist under the umbrella of their current coverage of women's sports. However, those sexist ideas still occur through the way and how often women's sports are covered. Usman states that since the 1980s, broadcast coverage of women's sports has consistently had lower production value than men's. By using fewer camera angles, statistics, and graphics and lower sound quality, sports media depict women's sports in less dramatic and spectacular ways than men's. If the girls in the Like a Girl video by Always grew up watching the boring depiction of female sports, it makes sense that they would not view doing things like a girl in a serious and exciting manner. They might even begin to view fighting, throwing, or running like a girl as an unimpressive action. Usman says that instead of featuring in-action game footage, especially slow-motion replays where women displayed physically or engaged in bodily contact, women's sports segments often featured athletes as supporters. Women are frequently shown on the bench, cheering for their teammates or hugging one another while celebrating a victory. If the media is only celebrating footage of women athletes when they're on the sidelines, might that encourage females to stay on the sidelines rather than actually play the game? It makes you question, as one woman in the Like a Girl video states, why can't run like a girl also mean win the race?